listen to anything else.
Hey, you can't touch me. Lucifer, you can't touch me. Furthermore, take your filthy hands off me family. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. Warfare time when you're under the blood. Them demons will shake and tremble. Satan is a old dirty thief, so we mash up the plans with only one sprinkle. If you're feeling pain, the blood of Jesus break every chain and remove our stain. Declare this again and again. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family.
And a pleasant good evening to everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to Team Family. We're so glad that you can join us this afternoon. With you this afternoon is Adana, and giving technical support is Trevor T. Lady Sabi is not able to be here this afternoon. We certainly miss her, but we are glad that we have Trevor T with us this afternoon, giving his support. And so we want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. We really appreciate you being here on Team Family. And we know the acronym TEAM means together. We educate, affirm, and motivate families. And that's what we do here on Team Family. And you know, coming up this month, we are celebrating 3 years of this radio station being in existence. And for the last 2 years, and this third year, we'll be having a hope walk. And you see my teachers are saying, walking with hope. So we have this walk, and we are walking for kidney health. And this year, the men is taking leadership in that effort, in our Hope Walk, Walking with Hope. And so today we're going to be talking about kidney health and to sensitize and inform the public more about taking care of your kidney, ensuring that it's healthy and preventing kidney disease. So we are so glad that we have a wonderful guest with us this afternoon. She's no stranger to Hope FM radio station. She's been here with us before. She's very capable of helping us this afternoon and informing us on our nutritional health, where our kidney is concerned. And is no other person of Nashiba Duncan. She's a dietitian, nutritionist, and she's here to share a wealth of information with us concerning our kidney health. But before we go into her, she does her presentation and we do our discussion this afternoon, we want to look to the Lord in prayer. We want to acknowledge God and we need His direction. So, Father, we thank you this afternoon for being with us here this afternoon. We thank you and we welcome your presence. We thank you for all that you have given to us, even the knowledge that you have imparted to our dear guests this afternoon. We pray, Father, for the wisdom of God, for the grace, for the direction, for clarity of thoughts and clarity of speech, being able to impart knowledge to the public. We pray, oh God, that you will have your way in this session. We welcome your presence, and we ask that someone will be enlightened and will be helped through this information this evening. We give you thanks in Jesus' name. Amen. So, Ms. Nashiba Duncan, we are so glad to have you this afternoon. We want to welcome you once again to Hope FM, and we, want to let you know that, you're always welcome, and it's so good to have you. And I also like you to know that Nashiba is an entrepreneur, and she has a nutrition company that is called Simply Nutrition, which is online. She will tell us a little bit more about it. So I want to welcome you, and you could just give us a little more information about Simply Nutrition, and we take it from there.
Good afternoon, everyone that's viewing, that's listening. Good afternoon, Sister Adana. Thank you guys for having me here today. It's a wonderful Sunday, and I'm excited to be here because I'm always happy to talk about nutrition. Just a little bit about my business. Sorry, it's called Simply Nutrition. It's a nutrition consulting company. It's mostly online, but we also do home visits, seminars, workshops, food demonstration, meal planning, you name it. Anything that comes with nutrition and health, our company covers that. So feel free to give us a call if you need help with diabetes management, hypertension, weight management, cardiac issues, just to name a few. So you can feel free to come on us. So thank you for having me.
Yes, it's always a pleasure. And this afternoon, as we talk about kidney health, people, other people may not know how important the kidneys are to the functioning of the body. So we just like you to give us a little information about the function of the kidney, why it's important to have healthy kidneys, and you just let us inform us on that a little bit. Yeah.
Sure. So many of us don't pay attention to our kidneys because we don't hear much talks about it. You hear about the heart, we think about the brain, and then our stomachs because we like to eat. But when we think about all those other organs, they also depend on the kidneys because one of the main functions of the kidney is to filter the blood. So as much as the heart is important, if the kidneys are not functioning well by cleaning the blood on a daily basis, then basically the heart is just circulating blood filled with toxin, and you know what that can lead to. We have the kidney helping with blood pressure regulation. We also have the kidneys helping with hormonal balance, even the simple function as having enough red blood cells or having preventing anemia. The kidney help with that because one of the hormone that help red blood cells production is called erythropoietin, and that main hormone is produced in the kidney. So when the kidney function is not 100, we have an issue there, persons being susceptible to anemia. We also have the kidney functioning with the bones. You hear about weak bones and so, because when you think about the thermoregulation, the regulation of the calcium and the phosphorus and so, that has to do with the kidneys, has to do with the bones. So it's quite a bit. We have the filtration, as we said, that makes urine, excrete urine and all that stuff. If we have any issues with like a stone formation, kidney stone, then we have issues right there because we might have a blockage. We might have the urine being too concentrated and we have a urinary tract infection. So these are just some of the few of the basic functions of the kidneys. But if we think about it, it also affects other organs and other functions in the body. Because if we have the kidneys not functioning properly and you have heart issues plus hypertension, you could just think about the disaster that could take place for both organs. And sometimes a person doesn't have heart issues, but because the kidneys are not functioning properly and they have a diagnosis of hypertension, that also can lead to heart issues if not managed properly. So yes, in a nutshell, we have the kidneys helping with blood pressure regulation, hormonal regulation, anemia prevention, bone formation, urine production, filtration. It's quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
But the kidneys are just as small as your fist. So it's a small organ, but it does wonders with just how small it is.
Right. So if you want our kidneys to be working well, there are a lot of things that we need to do.
Yes, quite a bit.
And you talk about pressure regulation. So that means we have to, have a normal pressure reading, and also is it related to sugar as well?
Yes, not directly, but because of all what's happening, then you have that. So let's say, okay, two of the main causes of kidney issues is uncontrolled blood sugar, uncontrolled diabetes, and uncontrolled blood pressure, right? So although we doesn't say, okay, that the kidney itself help regulate blood sugar, but if it's not controlled properly, that gives kidney issues. I know that offset blood pressure regulation, and now you have both of the two. See?
Right. And if your pressure and your blood sugar is not regulated well, then
you are susceptible for kidney issues.
Okay.
Those are the two main factors actually here in Grenada. We have persons coming on with kidney issues, whether if it is acute or it's chronic. When we go back and we really dig into the root causes, most of the time, I would say more than 75% of the time is uncontrolled blood sugar and uncontrolled blood pressure.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So that's something that we have to think about. So in terms of our nutrition, there are some myths and there are some belief that people have and sometimes it has nothing to do with having a healthy body or being in good health. But because our grandmother tell us
to do it so we must stick with it so.
Yes.
And a lot of it is untrue and it puts us in a bad place, right? One of the myths you'll hear is that if you consume sugar, you automatically get diabetes. No, that's a myth. No, we have diabetes by two factors: either that your body is not producing enough insulin, right, or you have insulin resistance where the body is not producing enough, or you just can't regulate that. Now let's look at the type 2 part with insulin resistance. Whether or not you consume sugar, if you have a high fat mass or overweight or obese, your chances of getting diabetes increases tremendously, whether or not you are consuming sugar. And it's not just sugar, but carbohydrates. And it's not just any carbohydrate, but simple carbohydrate. A simple fact of, okay, when we're cooking on a Sunday, we have stew chicken and stew pork and macaroni pie and rice and peas and potato salad. Now, all that extra starch is there, right? That increases our chance of having insulin resistance. And with insulin resistance, your chances of diabetes increases tremendously.
So one of the things that we have to be concerned about is having high carb diets.
High carb, but it has to be complex. So we have to be
complex.
careful of how much of that we're having on the plate.
Right. You can have a little of the different ones, but
Yes.
not high. Your plate high like a mountain.
No. We follow the plate model where I think we need to be more conscious.
Right.
I think we need to be more mindful. We should not eat just because we're hungry or because we know it's lunchtime and we know everything is available. We just eat everything. We need to really eat with consciousness and being aware of what's on the plate. Assess the plate. Ask yourself, okay, is everything on the plate yellow or white or the same color? If it's missing color, that tells you that you're missing some fruits or vegetable or something, which is the non-starchy foods and which we need more of.
Right.
But if you're not conscious of it, you just pack the plate with everything that's available. That is not including your callaloo and your pumpkin and your veggies and your beets. That is the rice and the pasta and the potatoes, because we're not conscious of what we're eating. So I was going back to say that we have a plate model that is used where half of the plate must be non-starchy vegetables, and quarter of that plate is your starchy foods like your pasta, your rice, your provisions, your bread, and the list goes on. Now, if you're conscious and you're mimicking that pattern, you would realize that when you add rice and peas, plus the pasta, plus the potato, plus the provisions, plus something else, that's already exceeded quarter of the plate. And then we like to squeeze a little 1 tablespoon of callaloo on the side, 1 slice of tomato, 1 slice of cucumber, and we say, okay, yes, I have vegetable. Or we like to say, okay, I already had my salad. What salad? It is a potato salad, not thinking that that is an actual starch and not a non-starchy vegetable. So if we are really thinking about what we're eating and being conscious of it, I think we're in a better place to do that. So that is why when we bring about this recommendation, persons are like, oh no, I cannot do that. I love my food. I'm going to be hungry by the time I'm finished here, because our mind is set differently, So that is one thing I think we should really try to do more. Be conscious of how we're eating, what we're eating, the timing, preparation method, and all those things.
Another thing I realized as being a homemaker myself and preparing meals, some older people will tell you, oh, if you find a food a little too salt, add a little sugar
to balance it out. Yes. We get that a lot. But I mean, nothing is wrong with that. But you have to look at, okay, do you have any existing medical conditions? Do you have diabetes? Do you have heart issues? Do you have high cholesterol? What else is going on? And is it absolutely necessary to put the sugar to balance it off? First of all, we are not mindful when we're putting salt in our food. We just add salt, shake, dip the pot spoon, we taste. Oh, honey, what you find? It's missing salt. No, we're not saying it's missing flavor, It's missing salt because we trained our mind to taste for salt, to taste for sugar. And unless we don't get that satisfaction of salt or sugar, we think something is missing. That's why if we start to think consciously, be more mindful and aware of what we're doing, when we're tasting now, we taste for flavor. What is the flavor we're going for? Do we want it to taste more herby? Do we want it more spicy, not like in pepper, but do you want cinnamon? Do you want nutmeg? Do you want cardamom? What flavor are you going for in the food? And then you can add your salt. No sugar, of course. If you've been diagnosed with diabetes, we don't want to add that there, but you can add other things in there.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and we're looking at prevention a lot after today, but we see children. I mean, they eat a lot of junk, and it's a lot of. I find nowadays people eat a lot of ramen as
Yes.
a quick fix and a quick
Mm-hmm.
meal.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of prevention for starting young, starting early,
Mm-hmm.
what sort of meals we should have prepare for our young ones, even in preschool age,
Mm-hmm.
starting them off right and with good nutrition.
Well, it starts with feeding ourselves. We cannot expect our children to eat lettuce and tomato if we are not eating them ourselves. And if we are not having them pick them when they go to the supermarket. Do you leave the kids at home and go make the errand yourself? Okay, sometimes we're busy, but at times you can bring them to help you pick. The younger, you let them feel, you let them smell. Although there is no smell, you tell them, this lettuce smells delicious. So they already put in their brain that lettuce is delicious. You go home with them, you ask them to pick it, they wash it, they can pull it, break it, however they choose. Now they are preparing it. But if you're not involving them and you yourself is not eating them, and you're even sitting down to have a meal with them and they're seeing you eating it, how would we have the kids replicate the same thing? So it really starts with us. When we have education with kids that are picky eaters, we ask the family, you have to be present, you have to involve yourself. The kids have to see you doing it as well. And for things that they don't like, you try to mix what they love a lot to what they don't like. But it really starts with, what are you doing yourself? When you're eating the beets, are you skinning up your face like, oh gosh, this beets? Or you say, oh, this beets is yummy, even though you don't like it as much, but you want to encourage it for the kids. So
Yes.
as simple as it is, it comes back to being conscious. And for the families, for the kids, you have to do it the same way. You cannot expect the kids to eat lettuce and all other vegetables and you're not eating it yourself.
And the thing is, children model what they see.
Exactly.
If you're not doing it,
You have to, there's no way, you have to do it. I
Exactly.
really like going grocery shopping with my son. He's almost 3 and he knows almost all vegetables and fruits in the supermarket, because even before he could speak, he knew what they were. I would tell him and he would smell it and he would touch it and he would tell me the colors. So now he goes and he picks his fruits every week and for the upcoming week. And last week he picked oranges. So whole week he's asking me for oranges because he know he picked it. No, yesterday we had food, he had lettuce, mommy lettuce, because he know he picked up lettuce. So we have to model those behaviors. And until we don't do it, our kids will be struggling. I mean, when they're older, it's their choice, but when they're younger, you want them to know that all these foods are just as yummy, they're just as delicious. You prepare them in a lot of ways,
And
out of the tradition too.
Exactly.
We don't always have to steam the callaloo batch. You can make a ball, you can make a quiche, you can make little pastries, you can put it in so many different things. You can make a little sandwich, like a cheese, and you put the cooked callaloo in there, you put it together and make a sandwich. There are so many ways you can do this thing, but we say we don't have the time. Yet we're gonna be sitting down on the phone scrolling social media for hours. Yet we say, well, I don't have the time to cook this or to make this, but we do other things.
So we put our ramen on the fire.
We put the ramen on the fire, right? And
That's
then
just a 5
ramen
minutes.
is not even healthy. I would tell persons, leave the ramen alone, take actual noodles, whole wheat spaghetti or something, and do that. And in doing the noodles, you want to add some vegetables in there. You grate it, you chop it, whatever you want to
Some
do.
carrots.
Carrots in there, and you saute it up and you do other things and you make it delicious. But not the ramen, because then when you have just the ramen noodles, you also need the packaged seasoning. And that in itself is another conversation, because it's packed with sodium, packed with preservatives and all the other seasonings that are not helpful for the body, especially the kidneys.
Yes, so we see that it's very important that we model healthy eating to our children from
Yes.
very young.
Very young.
We model it, and as you said, it's a consciousness. We have to be conscious of how we prepare our plate. Get them used to seeing a very colorful plate. And,
Yes.
they look forward to that.
Yes.
Yeah. So talking about kidney disease, what age range you find is greatly more affected by kidney disease? Is it that, do you see children?
Yes. You know what I've noticed? With children, I'm seeing more like nephrotic syndrome. And that's a whole other different condition when it comes to kidney disease. I'm seeing more of it in the children, one or two adults, but mostly in the pediatric population. Another thing that popped up for kids is what's called renal tubular acidosis. That's a whole other conversation. Maybe we should have another talk about that one in particular. We're seeing that in the pediatric population. Outside of that, I would say between 30 and 70, we have quite a bit of chronic kidney disease, you know?
Okay, between 30 and 70.
Yes. We have some that's like, 80s or 90s. Some of it could be age related, dehydration, quite a bit, but the major population is between that 30 to 70. And this is young. If we think about it, this is our young population.
And working population.
And we have from the 30 to the 50 on dialysis.
Oh, okay. Wow.
It means that
that's people with families.
We were missing something. We're missing something somewhere. I'm not at liberty to say anything or point any fingers, but we're missing something somewhere because this is our young people.
Yeah. And talking about that, how do you think we can wean our people of eating junk? I mean, and how best could we do that,
We need to be willing to make adjustment to what's traditional. We need to be willing to tell ourselves that eating healthy is not expensive. We need to be willing to try new things and it come back to tradition. We need to be willing to take accountability and be compliant with diet and medication, because a lot of times you see people progress from one stage to the other highly due to non-compliance. They're not adhering to what we would have recommended for them, and then they come at the latter stage.
We see that all over the health.
Yes. There are other things though that when we talk about access to fruits and vegetables that I really think our country should do better. Some of it is a little bit on the higher end for things that we have readily available here, so whatever legislation that could be put in place so we have it's easier access and affordability. Because we're talking about what about the people in the marginalized community where they just can't, they're working for $800 and their rent is $700, what do they do? Where do they go? And then we go to programs that offers assistance, but fruits and vegetables are not included in those programs. You see?
So basic staples and
and highly processed food. So we have to rewrite a lot of things to really put it on mainstream.
Encourage people to do backyard gardening and grow vegetables in their flower pots.
Yes, but everybody don't have access to that land.
Exactly. And
so it goes back a lot. Again, we need it is beyond this conversation, if I must say.
Yeah, I know it.
But for what we have access to, for the persons who just have little, still be mindful of when you're going to the grocery store, what is it you're buying? And when persons offer you something, I'm going on the road, you want something, don't ask for a Coke, ask for some lentils or some split peas, because that goes a long way, right? Don't ask for the KFC, ask them to buy you some local chicken, So you just be mindful, you can't afford everything, but somebody may offer you something. Don't just gravitate to what's quick. Don't just gravitate to the ramen, spend an extra $2 and maybe get some rice and then get some kalaloo from somebody in the community or something, and then you mix it too and you have some lentils to go with you for your protein.
Yes. And earlier we were talking and we said one of the myths is not eating meat. Just for good
not
health.
Eating meat is healthy. That has been a trend. I'm not sure if it's because of the boomers of being vegan and I'm not eating meat, so I am the most healthiest person alive. That's a myth, because even if you eat meat or not, you can still not be healthy because there is no balance.
Right.
There maybe you're eating highly processed seasonings in those preparations. So let's say, for example, you take out meat, right? What are you replacing it for that protein? You having your peas and beans, or you having your legumes, or you having your grains? Most of the time the answer is no, right? And then you'll have drastic weight loss, which also leads to kidney failure.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh boy.
So sometimes we just do things for the extreme because we hear, okay, well, chicken are good for you, the pork are good for you, the beef are good for you. So you just cut it out.
Yeah.
But what have you replaced? Where is the balance? Where is the nutrients? Because we need protein. It's not always from the chicken or the fish. We have other sources. But if you're not knowledgeable, if you don't know how to create the balance, you're actually missing a macronutrient. Macro, which means your body needed in large amounts.
Proteins, yeah.
And that's protein, right?
Yes. I heard people say kidney beans are good for your kidneys.
Kidney beans are good for everything. All beans are good for your
Yes.
kidneys.
Yeah. Because they call kidney beans.
Right. That's very true. And they actually shape like the kidneys if you
Yes.
look at it.
Yes.
They are very versatile. They can be cooked in many ways. You can make the patties. You can make bean loaf with the kidney beans. I like to do it curried with either sweet potatoes or with Christophine. They taste really good. And with the curry, you want to add things like cumin and coriander and so for that nice twist and make it less gassy, a little ginger, and so you can add it in there.
Yeah, and just to add, the peas and the beans and those things, they are very tasty,
Yes.
And as you said, you should introduce your children to eating those things early.
Yes, very
because
early.
Meat is expensive, but these beans and peas, the sweet peas and so,
Yes,
it's
they have
very
adequate
and
protein and
affordable.
affordable.
So
Yes,
use it.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Every
know.
Sunday meal doesn't need a whole pot of stew chicken on the plate. It can be some stew peas, it can be some soup without any chicken or fish or anything. You just put enough so then that could substitute for your proteins.
Right, a split pea soup don't really have to get meat in it.
Not necessarily.
Not necessary.
No.
Yeah, so I mean, there are a lot of things that we can do to stay in good health and
Yes.
to protect our vital organ, because kidneys
Yes.
are vital, and as we heard
Yes.
earlier on, the importance of having, healthy kidneys.
Yes.
And people, they might be on medication and so for their kidneys, and they might need to know what to eat. And a lot of time they said they're told don't use high potassium food and things like that. So you want to elaborate a little more about that so they can understand why.
That is also a myth. Thank you for saying that. Because yes, okay. So we have potassium, we have sodium, we have phosphorus, we have protein, we have fluid. All those that I've mentioned are things that you pay particular attention to when we're talking about the kidneys. Because when the kidneys are compromised, those things they're not utilized properly. So if you're at a latter stage of chronic kidney disease and you're not on dialysis, you have to kind of modify the amount of protein you're using, right? Sometimes you will have to cut out all of those fleshy tissues like the beef and so depends on the stage you're at, and maybe use more plant sources of that protein. Now, if you are to follow that recommendation of not eating high potassium foods, that's a lot of foods technically. Where would you get your source of protein? Because peas and beans and fruits and vegetables, they have high potassium as well, right? So if you go on that basis, then you're actually going to be losing more than you're gaining. Long ago, there was the very bland renal diet, which is everything white. That is no more. Recommendation has changed a couple of years ago, and whole grains and so are included in the renal diet, even if the food it has potassium in it. Now, what we recommend is that person have more low potassium foods if the potassium levels are high, and less of the high potassium foods. But if you're like stages 2 and 3 and your levels are normal, you do blood tests and your potassium levels are normal, your phosphorus levels are normal, there's no way or no reason why you should not be consuming those foods. But then when you look at your blood test result and you say your potassium numbers are high, automatically other professionals will tell you do not eat potassium foods. But from a nutrition standpoint, we assess as to why is the potassium level high? Let's look at your A1C. Half of the time it is high. This is where they measure how your blood sugar has been controlled. Because uncontrolled blood sugar increases your potassium levels. Let's look at your bowel movement. Have you been constipated? If you are constipated, then yes, that also increases your potassium levels, because those potassium cannot be excreted through the bowel or anything. Likewise, phosphorus. Some medication increases potassium as well. So it is not just fair to take everybody off potassium foods. Some person are on medications like Lasix or furosemide or some other medication that gets rid, I would say the water pill that gets rid of fluid. If you're on this medication, you need to have high potassium foods, because these medication basically excrete sodium and potassium. So we're getting to the point to realize that, but wait, I can't just not eat high potassium foods because it's individualized. I want to get to the part that it is very individualized when it comes to the kidneys and the renal diet. You must see your doctor and you must see a dietitian.
And you can't just generalize.
You cannot just
treat
generalize
everybody as across the board.
No, because I would give you a recommendation based on your medication, based on your stage, based on what's going on with you, and you feel better, things improve. And your friend down the road is on dialysis, and you say, no, don't eat all that chicken, don't eat this, don't eat that. Completely different, because persons on dialysis will need more protein. So now, even though they have kidney issues, they would be able to eat more animal protein than somebody who is not, because with dialysis they're losing more, so they need to replenish. You see?
Wow.
So it's not a one size fit all. And if anybody is concerned about what to do, where to go, contact us. Let us know what's going on with you, and we can guide you. There's a lot of misinformation circulating around that if you have kidney issues, you cannot have potassium foods. That's incorrect.
Right. I'm glad that you enlightened me, because I was not aware. I just thought once you have kidney issues, stay away from potassium. You can't drink passion fruit juice. You can't have coconut water. You can't have this meat and that. And you're searching out the net to see all I have potassium to stay away from.
Low potassium levels.
I'm so glad that you enlightened us in that way, because even people on dialysis.
Yes.
They need a nutrition.
Yes.
While they're on dialysis, and that is it's good to have that knowledge, if you're in that situation, so you know how to balance and to eat well for your good health. We also think about herbs, and people, tend to gravitate to eat different herbal, or use different things that for good health. And I think you're drinking herbal tea, you're drinking a lot of ginger tea, drinking a lot of lemongrass, and you're drinking all those things, and it's that's healthy. So is that a myth?
Well, for those that you mentioned, those that you listed, they are safe to consume. So some of what we call our bush tea, or drinking some tea, some of it is safe, but not all. They are not created equally. So you're talking about your ginger, you're talking about your cinnamon. Now, turmeric is one you have to be careful of, because persons say they're drinking turmeric tea every day. That is not safe, right? Because then you have to look at the intensity, how much in a cup, and all those things. So we have to look at those things. But if you're going down to things like the black stage and the sugar dish and all those things, and all of the herbs, sometimes we don't even know the names of. You want to be mindful. Remember the kidney filters. So if you're unable, the kidneys are unable to do basic function, and you're giving it additional herbs that have lots of toxins and tannins and phytochemicals, some of which the body cannot recognize and is harmful. We are not aware of that, because here in Grenada, and I'm sure most of the Caribbean, we don't have all herbs standardized as to how shall we consume this herb. Should it be consumed dried? Is it the leaf and the stems, or all of it? Should it be boiled? Should it be steeped? For how long? How many leaves per cup of water? Should it be sitting for more than 5 minutes? Should it be mixed with something else? Should it be taken on an empty stomach or with food? We just pick it up. Your grandmother boil it in the morning. That's how we know we boil it, and we just drink it. But it doesn't always work. There are persons that have been diagnosed with kidney issues, and it's because of overdose of herbs, a combination of it. And it's hard to tell which one, because every day is something different, and you just pull and you boil and you drink and you drink, So we have to be mindful.
So some of them have been toxic and dangerous to the kidneys.
Yes, and not even just herb. Anybody have kidney issues, so stay away from five fingers, carambola, because they actually produce toxins naturally. But because we don't have issues with our kidneys, our body getting rid of that easily.
Right.
A person with kidney issues is toxic. them. Some persons, they can die instantly if they
Oh.
consume 5. So
Five
likewise, some
fingers.
herbs, right? And I know with the herbs, we have more other toxins in there. Some are good, yes. Some are safe and okay to consume, but they are all not created equally. So when you go to your doctor, please disclose those information, because sometimes you're taking herbs that doing the same thing your diabetes medication is doing. You're taking herbs that doing the same thing your blood pressure medication is doing, or they're counteracting each other. So the herbs is working one way and it's preventing the other medications from working. And you're wondering, well, this medication they're working, but you ain't telling the doctor you're drinking all kind of thing different days and different time, right? Yes.
Well, so some that might be safe, that we use with our food is like things like garlic, and you said it's the
Right.
spices, cinnamon and nutmeg,
Mm-hmm.
but I heard that, I don't know if it's a myth, that lemongrass can neutralize the effect of certain medication or medication. I heard
I
that.
have not heard about it, but I'll definitely look into it. What I know is that we have to be careful with grapefruit, right? Or even the same garlic. Garlic brings on the blood pressure. Likewise, the celery and the parsley, even our hibiscus or sorrel also brings on the blood pressure. So if you're taking those things several times a day and you're taking your blood pressure medication, right, it's quite possible that your blood pressure could be dropping and you're not aware. Likewise, if you're drinking a lot of other things to bring down your blood sugar and you're taking your blood sugar medication, it could be dropping as well. So we want to be mindful of that.
So when your blood pressure or your blood sugar drops, what effect does it, if it drops does it have on your kidney?
I'm not quite sure what effect you have on the kidneys, but if the kidneys are already compromised, it's difficult for it to be regulated easily.
Okay.
Like you and I, who may not have any kidney issues, we might be able to feel it faster, and then, the kidney will kick into compensatory mode and do what it needs to do and bring it back up. But then persons with kidney not working properly, blood pressure is off the chain, and blood sugar, you might have a fatal event. Right, so we have to be very mindful.
Sometimes it's difficult to tell because we're not sure. The doctor is not sure what you're drinking.
Sometimes you don't even know what bush you're drinking. You just go, you hear somebody tell you that this might work, and you're going to try it, and then you can't go out and you don't know what happened.
That is a risk taking, man. That's very
so we
risky.
have to be very, very mindful because we don't have any regulation when it comes to our local herbs and so in Grenada.
Yeah. What about albumin level? And in relation to kidneys.
Kidneys.
Yeah.
That's a very good question, Sister Donna. We see it a lot, and the natural response for the clinical team is to say, okay, well, this person albumin is low, so let's give them protein. On a nutrition standpoint, we look at, okay, what is causing the albumin to be low? Is it fluid status? Is it actual protein? Because sometimes the total protein in the body is normal, but the albumin is low. If person have a lot of swelling or what we call edema or even ascites, swelling in the tummy, the albumin would drop because there is a shift in that. Also, if the calcium levels are low, you have a shift in albumin as well because this carrier, calcium help carries albumin.
Okay.
So we don't just recommend things when albumin is low. We look at what is causing albumin to be low. Sometimes person have kidney issues and the albumin is low, and we'll say, okay, maybe they need to get a cardiology referral because something might be going on with the heart or something might be going on with the liver, because nothing from the labs from a renal standpoint points towards why the albumin should be low. So we refer them. I will tell the doctor, hey, get a cardiology consult for this patient because something is going on with that albumin levels. And sometimes, yes, if we see the total protein low, albumin is low, probably the person is malnourished, not eating enough. Or sometimes they're drinking too much fluid. So then you have that shift there where the albumin is low as well. So it's a lot.
Yeah.
It must we must see the labs.
So your body tends to compensate even when your nutrition level is really low, you're not eating enough, because sometimes people reach in a stage where they have these diagnoses that their pressure too high, their cholesterol high, this is that wrong and that is wrong, and they're not sure what to do. So sometimes they don't even know what to eat, so they barely eat.
Yes,
and that could affect their health as well.
very much so.
So what they need is the information as to what to
What
eat
to eat.
with this diagnosis.
Yes. But you see, the problem we have is that we don't like to share care in our country. A lot of physicians tend to want to be the physician and the dietitian together. And the information provided half of the time is incorrect.
Okay.
And it's when things get really bad, they say, okay, well, you might have to see the nutritionist because I don't know why the sugar is not being controlled. First is when the patient just get a diagnosis, they're supposed to be sent over right away so that we can help that continuation. Yeah.
So the nutritionist is really great support and dietitian for the doctor.
Oh,
and
yes.
in getting, good treatment, a good treatment plan
Yes.
for the patient.
Yes. It's called medical nutrition therapy.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned it. So you need to get a consultation.
Yes.
If you're given that sort of diagnosis, because sometimes people get worried and they don't know what to eat.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have to, that consultation is important. We want to look at some of the comments that's coming our way from our viewers. And Mr. Gavin Thomas is saying we can do like some other countries and ban the food that contributes to the sickness or to kidney problem. Our diet has become an American diet. They have a larger control of the media, so their products get advertised all the time. Eat the American diet and get the American sickness. What comments do you have? It's an interesting comment because
Yes.
he's making some important points.
Yes.
The quick food, Americanized diet.
And even so, yes, we have adopted a lot of that culture. Yes, we have to make adjustment to the foods that we allow to come into our countries, because you realize that some of those foods are even more affordable than our local foods. So what are we really telling the people without telling them? And then we don't have much access. We have so much resources here, but a lot of our local foods are out of season. Why are we out of season in local produce? So maybe the cycling or the method of farming or something should be storage, or even the council does very well in finding ways to prepare our local foods differently, right? But then we don't always get it. You will see persons going back home, the vendors going back home with things that are spoiling.
Yeah.
Right?
They need to know some ways of how to preserve some of these things, because I see frozen mangoes, imported mangoes in supermarkets.
Yeah.
So when we have seasons with our mangoes or fruits, and when mango is in season, wasting instead of having wasting,
but
there's something
when
we could
mangoes
do.
in season, a lot of us are not using the mangoes.
That's true
We're
too.
still going and buy the apples and the grapes. We're not using the mangoes to make popsicles for the kids, make juice, make smoothies, put it in your salads, put it in your fish. There's so many things we can do, but we don't see it as that, So it is a complete revamp. So what Mr. Thomas is saying, yes, we have adopted quite a bit. The way we dress, so many things, we adapt, right? But even with our local and traditional food, we are still not doing justice and balance with it. Look at how we cook oil down. That's not an Americanized meal, but look how we cook it, and look how much we have on the plate. Okay, look how we do our pilau. The whole plate is rice and chicken, and then we top it with coleslaw. Not quarter of the plate is the rice and chicken, and then some salad and so. No, we just go all out because that's traditional, and then we still add all to the pot to add the sugar, to add the back neck and the chicken wings. Oh gosh,
and the grease. Because sometimes people could
that's not an Americanized meal.
Yeah?
That's very local. But how are we preparing it? And when we try to give modifications to change it, it's like, it wouldn't taste nice. So, that's not how my grandmother used to make it. I want to taste like how she does make it.
Yeah,
and
that's so true.
Okay.
I'm guilty.
There we go.
That's how my grandmother, how my mother used to make it. I wanted to taste like hers. You understand? Oh boy.
My God.
So we have this question. What are some common myths about kidney diseases that are not true?
What are some
common myths about kidney diseases that are not true?
Well, if you have kidney issues, you die. People come to me, it's like, so am I going to die? And I'm like, but At what point do you think that? Apparently, I was naive to that myth because persons automatically think that once they have about the kidneys, they're about to die or they're
That death
about to
sentence.
dialysis right
Mm-hmm,
away.
mm-hmm.
That is not true. I think maybe the doctor should try to explain to them a little bit more. And there's a thing that it depends on whether if it is the structure or the function of the kidney that is not working. Sometimes you get reversal. It can move back a stage, or if it's acute kidney injury that just suddenly happened, depends on what's caused it. Maybe a blockage
Infection.
or infection or something. Once that cleared up, you no longer have kidney issues.
Right.
So just stand your ground. Have faith and just ask the relevant question without jumping over the cliff prematurely.
Yeah.
That's a common myth that I heard about kidney issues. The other one is that when you have kidney issues, you cannot have coconut and bananas and you can't have your traditional foods. That's another myth. However, you must see a nutrition professional like myself or someone else to really guide you as to if you are to eat those foods, what you can do or not do based on your staging and your blood test results.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, having a diagnosis of kidney disease is not a death sentence.
It's not a dead sentence.
Yeah.
Even if you're on dialysis, it's not a dead sentence.
Yeah, you can live on dialysis for quite a while.
For quite a while. And the thing about dialysis, your diet is more liberal. You can eat more stuff, but you still have to be mindful. You still have to be conscious.
Okay, and do your routine that you have to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, so avoid infection.
Know your numbers
Yes,
and
yeah.
everything.
Right. So that's really good to know that you have a kidney issue. You need to see a dietitian. You need to know
see
what
a
to
doctor.
eat. See a
See a
doctor,
dietitian.
and don't get afraid.
Thou shalt not
Don't
be
be
afraid.
Oh wow. Yeah. So looking at all that you would have said about the kidneys and the things that we should consider when we talking about kidney health. What about exercise and kidney health?
Oh yes, those are all lifestyle factors. So we talk about the medical treatment of chronic kidney disease. We talk about the nutritional aspect, but it also something called therapeutic lifestyle changes, where it includes your diet, stress management, sleep, exercise. Okay, some persons are able to walk, some persons are not. Right? For the persons are able to get up and move, you move as best as possible. Whether if it is 5 minutes a day, 3 minutes, whether you do better in water aerobics, it's swimming because it's less painful on your joints, you do that. Whether you do it at home while you're doing your chores, whatever it is, you get a walking body to walk in the morning or in the afternoon, you do it as best as possible. If you're like me, you like music, you can do dancing and so on and so forth. Right? So for the persons who are unable to move, then they might have to resort to some sort of therapy or something to help them with safe movement and exercise, because some persons are just not able to move based on what is going on with them. They might have some sort of amputation or something, right?
Yeah.
So we can't just say, okay, once you have kidney issues, get up and run. I don't have 2 legs to run. What do I do now? Right?
Yep.
You will need additional help for that.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So we have coming up the walk for kidney health, and we have the men taking lead in that, and so we want people to know that the importance of having having a health. We want people to know that they can avoid having to go on and dialysis and having kidney disease if they would only do certain things like
do it now,
exercise or prevent having to deal with the kidney disease or kidney issue.
Yes. So I would say 1, make sure that you're compliant with your medication, make sure you're adhering to your diet, and make sure you involve some sort of physical activity as best as possible. So now that we have the walk coming up, we should challenge ourselves 5 minutes a day to be ready. We don't want halfway in the walk and we have to get Mr. Trevor to pick us up with the bus or something. No, we want to be ready now, so we had to get moving, because what happened is that when you increase physical activity, it literally helps blood pressure management and it helps blood sugar management tremendously. Because with physical activity, you lose fat mass. And once you're losing fat mass, remember insulin resistance decreases, your need to dependent on medication for blood pressure control decreases. So just having to exercise, not just on the day of the walk, but before that, right? So you want you to come out and shine on the day, and we all going to know if you're walking before the walk because it'll be evident. But after the walk, we can't do the aerobics on the playing field. No, you got to go all throughout, right?
Right.
There you go.
Yes. So get yourself ready.
Get
The
yourself
walk is on the
ready.
25th. Start to do your little stretches and so in the morning and evening time, and prepare yourself for the walk. Don't come and walk and then you're getting cramp. All right. So we have a question here.
Uh-huh.
What about fluid intake when it comes to your kidneys? How much water to
Wonderful,
drink?
wonderful.
Yeah.
If it doesn't have any kidney issues, you want to go between 8 to 10 cups per day. But still, there's an algorithm that we use because sometimes for your height, your weight, your age, it differs, right? But if persons have kidney issues, depending on the stage you're at, they can either have more fluid or less. Now, I can't get that information off the air because I have no idea what they're going through. I have no idea what the labs are. So
Right.
that's just like a ballpark, the regular.
General.
If someone is on dialysis, that also is another algorithm that we use, whether they're on hemodialysis or peritoneal dialysis. That's different fluid recommendation. If it's on hemodialysis, they don't want to be able to know what their dry weight is, what is the pre-weight, what is their post-weight, and then they give based on all that. There is a recommendation.
Yes.
If they're on peritoneal dialysis, they might need more fluid because they're losing more in the exchanges. If they have heart issues like CHF, then they have a fluid restriction for that. If they have polycystic kidney disease, now the fluid requirement increases tremendously. So generally, we say between 8 to 10 cups of fluid per day. Most of it should be water. But if anybody have kidney issues and they're unsure as to how much fluid they should have, and they have access to the blood test results and so on and so forth, just give me a call and I can help you with that so we have an idea.
Should they cut out sugar like massively by more than half that other they used to take, or just have no sugar at all in their juices?
For someone with kidney issues?
Because, yeah.
Well, not unless you have been diagnosed with diabetes.
Okay.
But however, if you do not have diabetes, but you're doing peritoneal dialysis, the fluid that's used has dextrose. So your chance of getting diabetes increases. So you want to watch that as well. So
Okay.
as you can see, it is very intricate.
Very intricate because you have to know.
You have to know quite a bit of that person.
Because you're getting it already, so you have to know to cut back.
Right. There are persons that have kidney issues and they're not diabetic and they're able to use their sugar, but I always tell them, use it when it's absolutely necessary. If you don't need it, then don't put it in there.
Okay, great. So we have another question. When someone suffers from a lot of allergies, can it affect any part of your body, and why feet swelling would cause what I guess what's the relationship with swelling of your legs with kidney disease, swelling of your feet?
I'm hearing quite a bit. I'm hearing allergy. I'm hearing swelling or edema. I'm hearing the feet, and I'm hearing kidney issues. That's a big question, and it's quite a bit to answer on air because I don't know if the allergic reaction is related to the kidney issues or if the kidney issue is causing the body to react negatively to something. Is it food? Is it medication? And with the feet swelling, is it because of kidney issues? Has the person being diagnosed with kidney issues already? I mean, do they have high blood pressure? Do they have heart issues? Do they have things like gout? There's quite a bit when it comes to swelling of the feet. Is the person pregnant?
Circulation.
If it's peripheral artery disease, it's quite a bit. So I can't, whoever the caller or the person on, I can't really answer the question directly, but I might be able to help you better if I know more what's going on.
Yeah, and
Yes.
and if is somebody, a patient that you notice have that problem, maybe they should see the doctor and get.
I would definitely
see
call the doctor and say,
and-
hey,
and
look, this
look,
patient
this-
had these issues, run some other
because,
tests to see what's going on.
People have a tendency to diagnose themselves and see, well, look, this is causing that, and we don't really know what the true
Yeah,
cause is. So
yeah,
it's always best to see
to
a
see.
medical doctor, get advice from the nutritionist, get as much help from the health team as possible for you, to be able to thrive better and enjoy good health.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have been, speaking a lot about the kidney health, exercise. We spoke about the diet, and we encourage, parents to model healthy eating, before your children.
Yes.
Get them, make them be a part of the shopping experience, picking out the fruits and
Yes.
vegetables. I think that is very important.
Yes.
As early as possible, get them to eat healthy.
Yes. Yes.
Because we know prevention
It's better than cure.
One
I heard that
ounce of
several times.
prevention is better than a whole
pound of
pound of cure. So these are things that we should be mindful, and it's simple things, not rocket science. We do these things. We eat healthy. We take a lot of fluid, because dehydration could be an issue too.
Yes. Yes. And I do want to talk a little bit about it. If we have time, please permit me. Sometime we are thirsty, the body is dehydrated, calling for water, yet we say that I feel for something sweet. I feel for something sweet. Well, I wonder what you have in the fridge. It's like, but did you even drink water? No. Because there's a pathway in the body where the urge for sweetness and the urge for thirst
And
is the
salt.
same pathway. So if you're feeling for something sweet and you just eat, have some water and wait a little bit more. If maybe you only had some veggies and some chicken alone, then maybe your meal wasn't enough because you lack your starch, your carbohydrate food there, right? So maybe you want to have that then. But we always feel we need something sweet. I feel for something sweet now. I feel for something. I feel you're thirsty. Drink some water, and hydrate yourself. First thing in the morning, we should try to drink a lot of water, right? And as the day goes by, you try to even it out. Don't drink 1 cup in the morning and before bedtime you want to drink a whole gallon because you forget to drink during the day. You will not have good sleep. You wake up the next morning, your head hot in you, and you're restless. So spread it out throughout the day and stay hydrated. Leave the sweetened beverages alone. Outside hot now. Avoid the juices.
I think it's a good practice. I see a lot of people with this big bottle and they're chugging throughout the day.
This is embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. I watch some of them. They come in the morning with it and they go back home.
With the
Why are they
same-
carrying all this water like this? This is not okay. If you know you're
Have to
not
drink
good,
it.
walk with a smaller bottle. This it can stay in your bag and nobody wouldn't see. Because we have it. It's like, okay, we think, okay, I'm carrying the water, so I'm doing something good. But carrying the water and actually drinking it is two different things, right? So if you know you cannot drink the whole bottle for the day, by the time you leave home in the morning, drink half of that. So by the time you get to work, you drink the other half, and by the afternoon time you're finished, you go home with an empty bottle. Nobody should be toting water from work back to home.
Yeah, and because you feel so embarrassed that you drink the whole
You drink the whole
before you go to
thing.
sleep.
Oh my gosh, I don't drink water. The bottle said it's still 7 a.m. This is 7 p.m. So you're chugging it down, and then whole night you have to go to the restroom.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is the bottle tell you what time to drink,
Because we're not
when to drink this.
mindful.
That's what is so important, to be mindful.
We
Yes.
have to be mindful and conscious of what we're doing. We're just walking around aimlessly sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important that we be mindful of what we do,
Yes.
especially when it comes to our diet
Yes, most
and
definitely.
what we take into our bodies. We have to be
Yes.
mindful and think about it. So before we close, there's one last question. If someone's suffering from enlarged heart, is that an area that can affect your kidney?
Oh yes, yes, most definitely, because it's all connected. The heart also help with blood pressure regulation, right? So if you have issues with the heart, you're going to have things like swelling of the feet and all those things, and that in turn could also affect the kidneys, because the cardiac diet also help with kidney health, or the DASH diet also help with kidney health. But if you're not compliant, you're going to have issues with the kidney, because sometimes persons with heart issues do have blood pressure issues, and uncontrolled blood pressure leads to kidney issues.
So it's all related.
All related.
Right. Before we close, we have one last comment from Mr. Thomas. Some of our foods are not American by tradition, like our pilau, which is true, but how the ingredients are made today versus how it was made before. Right? You see, that might be an issue. How rice was made before versus how now is completely different. A lot more chemicals are used in production now than in the past. So the food on the people's plate is not an American food, but the ingredients were produced by American standards.
Very true. But let's bring it home, right? We don't produce those things here, and we may not be able to produce those things here. We do not, that's something out of my control or your control. But what I have control of is eating. How much I put on my plate. So yes, he's very true. The foods produced are of different standard then to now. Okay, likewise, my portions should still remain small. So if we already know that what's being produced is different standard from then to now, why am I still packing up the plate? The whole plate is rice and peas, or the whole plate is likewise provision. Because some persons do not eat rice. They say, okay, I'm eating only provision. Yet the blood sugar is not under control and they have kidney issues. Because why? Portion control, lack of consciousness. So he's very right. But we still come back to what is within our jurisdiction, what is within our control. We must eat. We have to eat. And every time we put a plate in front of us to eat, we ask ourselves, is half my plate starchy foods? Is my whole plate starchy foods? Or is half of it my vegetables or my legumes or my grains? Being conscious now. So while the content of the food might be different, might have more fertilizers or more things that are not good for body, we're not denying that fact, but we don't have control over that aspect of it. What we have control is how are we preparing it? We're putting butter in the rice when we're cooking it and add salt and sugar and Maggi cube and all that stuff, plus eat a whole plate of it. You know, are we conscious of that? And that is what I want us to think about.
Right. Well, we want to thank you for your comment, Mr. Thomas, and all of you who commented and ask your questions. We are so glad for your contribution this afternoon.
You're most
And
welcome.
Mrs. Duncan, we are so grateful for your wealth of knowledge. I mean, you have me thinking a different way. And, just to establish this, that we should be conscious of what we do and what we eat.
Yes.
As a level of consciousness is so important when it comes to our diet
Yes.
and our entire health, because as we have spoken, the kidney health affects your heart and all the other things. Everything is
All the organs,
connected.
everything is connected.
So, let's eat good and eat healthy and eat wisely
Yes.
for our health,
Yes.
because we need this body to do what we have to do for the Lord on this earth.
Amen.
So I encourage you to, take these advice, and we want to thank you so much. It's
You're
really
most
a
welcome,
pleasure
Sister Donna.
for all that you have shared with us. It's really a pleasure. We are so glad that you could have joined us today
Yes,
on Team Family, and for all of you who would have joined us on radio, on YouTube, on Facebook, we want to thank you. We want to wish you God's blessing, and we are looking for you to come on the Hope
the
Walk on the
walk.
25th. It's 4:00, starting where? Starting by the stadium and ending in Montu pasture at Granans. Not a long walk. It's a similar
No.
route to Old Trafford.
Trafford.
Old Trafford.
That's right there.
Okay. So it's an easy, short walk.
Yes.
And bring your family along
yes.
and enjoy your walk.
Yes.
Thank you again, and have a blessed week. May God continue to bless you.
Thank you, Sister Donna, and thank you everyone who was locked in and listening. Have an awesome week. Bye-bye.
Yes, thanks again.
Hey, you can't touch me. Lucifer, you can't touch me. Furthermore, take your filthy hands off me, family. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. Warfare time when you're under the blood. Them demons will shake and tremble. Satan is a old that thief, so we mash up your